Uma Sutam Soka Vinasha Karanam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambam, Sankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmat Acharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum. Good morning and welcome to SanGita Session number 17 today. Some of you might have missed the last session, so I would, as usual, give you a review of the last session and then we can proceed further on this. The last session we covered verses from 4 to 10 in chapter 3. And chapter 3, as I said before, is the most important of all because it talks about Karma Yoga, which is very, very applicable to working people like us, the middle class people who are really aspiring to get knowledge from Gita. And it gives you a beautiful guidance, a lot of tremendous confidence, I would tell, which is not taught in the colleges, the universities, but the Gita teaches us that. And in this, we heard Lord Krishna starts to explain in answer to Arjuna's question, which is a better path, Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga. He starts to explain what is Karma Yoga and why is it a prerequisite to Jnana Yoga, and what are the Prakriti gunas or the inborn gunas that people have in them. And he goes on to explain further, and the last verse he says, Saha yajnaha praja sruštva puro vacha prajapatihi anena prasavitvat mesha o astvishta kamaduk. Everything is created by someone. You see a building, you see a car, you see books, you see a movie, whatever. Everything has a creator. So who created this world? Who created even a blade of grass that you see on your lawn? Can we do it? I think it's a question to ponder. And the creator gave us a kind of a user manual. Well, here I am created something like you get something with a television or a car that you buy. There is always a user manual with equipment and devices on how to use it. So he gave us a user manual, which I call as the Vedas. The Vedas teach you how to live. And everything about Vedas is positive. There's nothing negative about it. It guides you the path, dharmartha kama moksham. Help each other in the spirit of sacrifice. Everybody sacrifices some little thing for others, like a mother sacrificing her sleep and comfort for the sake of a baby. I remember once in Chennai Central Station, with all the crowd that was going on and the noise, there were a couple of poor people sleeping on the floor, and there was a woman, probably from a farm, agricultural, and she had a baby who was also sleeping. And they were oblivious of the surroundings and they slept soundly. So much of noise. But the baby woke up and started crying, and a minute, I would say in a fraction of a second, that lady got up and took care of the child. So she could not listen to all the other sound, but she could listen to only her own child. She sacrificed her sleep. She sacrificed her comfort for the sake of baby. So, anena prasa vishadmam. Anena means what? With Karma Yoga. This, with the life of yajna or sacrifice. Yajna doesn't mean homam and fire and putting things to it. It means any little things you do, sacrificing something of yours to others. It means accommodating others and being flexible. You find families where they get together, they have different views, they may have, but the spirit of little sacrifice or accommodation is good for the entire family. So leading such a life is going to benefit everybody, and what you get from Kamadhenu, you get in plenty. The United Nations was created for this purpose, that nations should be united and peace shall provide. It's also saying that united we stand, divided we fall. So in this, Krishna shows really two paths. One is called pravritti, which is external. Do your action and also enjoy the path of dharmartha kama moksham. At the same time, devote a little bit of time for your own self-knowledge. So it does not prohibit you from doing whatever you're doing. It is extrovert. The other one is called nivritti, a release, which is the path of knowledge. So pravritti sets you the groundwork to go ahead with nivritti, the second stage, which is the internal one, introspection. So that's the stage at which we are in the last session, and then we will now move on to today's session. I will give you a quick overview of today's session 17, where Lord Krishna explains why yajnas or sacrifices are important. He explains the wheel of life, food, leading to rain and food and life. He explains the state of action and no action. And finally, the steps to self-knowledge. It's a long path, but he goes step by step. And you're going to see how he goes by step by step. The first verse we have today is chapter 3:11, verse number 11. Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantu vaha. Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantu vaha. Parasparam bhavayantaha sreyaha param avapsyata. Devan anena bhavayata. Devan, you know, it means the gods. Anena, referring to this, with this. Bhavayata, to nourish. Te devaha, those gods. Bhavayantuvaha, they nourish you in turn. Parasparam bhavayantaha, parasparam, mutual, one another. Bhavayantaha, nourishing. Paramasreyaha avapsyata. Param itself means superlative, the highest, like Parameshwaran, the superlative of all Ishwarans is Parameshwaran. Param Sreyaha Avapsyata, the highest. Sreyaha, good. Avapsyata, you shall get it. Very simple, really. With this, you nourish the gods. With what? With the yajna or sacrifice. You nourish the gods, and may the gods nourish you. Thus, nourishing one another, you shall attain the highest good. That is the gift of this slokam. But who are these gods who are helping humanity? They are the presiding deities over the natural elements. We have, of course, the 5 elements which are helping you, the Panchabhutas as they call it. In addition, you have gods like Indra, the lord of thunder and rain, Varuna, the lord of oceans. That's why they do Varuna Jabam, no? In Tamil Nadu now, there's shortage of water, no rain, therefore they do Varuna Jabam. So what are these gods expecting from you? A little bit of gratitude. Don't we say thank you when somebody does you a favor? And you show your gratitude to them by these yajnas. Yajnas means showing respect to them, not abusing them, and also doing the yajnas in the terms of homams. And they will shower you with gifts. How do you abuse? You keep destroying the forests. If you do that, how can we get rain? In fact, many people, including me, when we take a bath, we say a verse, Gange cha yamane chaiva godavari saraswati narmade sindhu kaveri jalespin sannitim kuru. We worship those rivers. Now, when you do that, does it reach? Well, it does. Just as you have thoughts getting radiated, we don't know. So there is some kind of electronic waves emanating. That's why I think it's called electrocardiogram, what is coming up from your heart, which pervade everywhere. So like you think you like someone, the other person also likes you. I think there is a kind of a wave that comes in between the two. So there is this question of showing gratitude to the gods that nourish you. So by doing the yajnas, you are nourishing the gods, and may the gods nourish you. Thus, nourishing each other, you shall attain the highest good. What is given as a Kamadenu, which gives you all the gifts. Going further, verse number 12. Ishtan bohan hivo deva dasyante yajna bhavitaha taidattan apradayabhyo yo bhunkte sthena yevasaha. Very beautiful verse here. Ishtan boganhi. It's a sandhi here. Ishtan boganhi. Ishtan means ishtam. We also say ishtam means desire. My wish. Ishtan boganhi. Desired objects. So, O deva dasyante. Very simple again. Devaha, God. O devaha, those gods will give you dasyante. In Hindi, you say dena, right? Come from the root da. Even danam, which is given as a gift, come from the root da. Dasyante, the gods will give you. Yajna bhavitaha, nourished by the sacrifice. Now, the next word is a sandhi. You have to split it. Tair dattan apradaya ebhyaha. It's a long word. Split it up. Tair dattan apradaya ebhyaha. by them given dattan, given apradayebhyaha is without offering. Pradaya means to offer. When you put a, it becomes opposite. So without offering them, bhungte, enjoys. The root is bhu. In fact, bhojanam also comes from the same root. Sahahi, stenaha, thief, eva, verily. Gods nourished by your sacrifice will give you the desired objects. But one who enjoys the objects given by God without offering anything in return to them is really a thief. You know, there was a very fat man, well fed. He met a skinny person and he wanted to make fun of him. Say, you seem to be coming from a famine-stricken area. You are so lean and you must not be getting any food at all. And the skinny person replied, yes, I do come from a severely food shortage area. I didn't know why it was so, but after seeing you, I know the reason why. So some people want to eat all the stuff themselves without giving anything in return. So here it says, you show gratitude to Mother Nature, she will give you bountiful. So Karma Yoga recommends here performing these little sacrifices, yajnas, to get benefits. There is a nice subhashitam, one verse I remember. Paropakaraya phalanti vrikshaha. Paropakaraya phalanti vrikshaha. Paropakaraya dukhanti gavaha. Paropakaraya vahanti nadyaha. Paropakarartham idam shariram. Paropakaraya, to help others. Phalanti vrikshaha. Vrikshaha is trees. Phalam means fruits. The trees give you fruits without really expecting anything in return. The trees don't eat the fruits themselves. They are meant for others. Likewise, the cow gives you milk without drinking it by itself. The rivers flow for your sake. So likewise, Paropakarartham idam sariram. This body, human body, is intended to help for others. So, Karma Yoga here recommends that do not be indifferent, do not exploit the natural elements of feed your greed. Ingratitude is probably the worst weakness of mankind. Even for small kindness, we say thanks. So why not for big things? When you get water, you don't produce it yourself. When you get air, you get food, you get all kinds of things to eat. So here, it's a question of sharing. Now, I was in San Jose some months back, and then I went to a Gurudwara there. The largest, I believe, in North America. It's located on top of a hill. And there, they offer you free food. And there is a board there. Take as much as you want. No restriction on the quantity. You can take as much as you want. But only request, please don't waste the food. Very nice, When you see food being wasted, I feel sad. After all, this is a great thing. And there are so many millions of people starving and we are wasting food. So this Paropakaram is not only in our Sanatana Dharma, it is there in every other religion, even amongst Muslims. Long ago when I used to work in Bombay, and I used to come via Mahim, and Mahim on Fridays afternoon, the Muslims were giving rotis to all the poor people. They used to line up and they will share their rotis to them. You go to many places of worship in India, free food is given. The people should not waste them. Now you go to Kerala. Kerala, the temples are called Devaswam. Devaswam. Guruvayur Devaswam. What is Devaswam? Deva is God. Swam is own, like Swayam. That is, God is the owner. So they say the God is the owner of the temple and properties, not the people. Kerala is the only place where I found this term, Devaswam. But in contrast, what do you find today? In many places, in temples, the land is stolen, encroached, property is stolen. When I was a young boy, my father once took me to a village called Kanjanur. It's next to my maternal grandmother's village. And he showed me a temple where there was some coconuts with some kind of a horn on them. And I asked him, why is it? And he said, there was a thief who climbed up the coconut tree and then started stealing all the coconuts. And the village priest, the temple priest, he said, hey, don't steal this temple property. Don't steal it. And he replied from the top, if it is a temple coconut, does it grow horns or what? There's nothing special about it. And I believe the story goes that he fell down and all the coconuts that he had stolen had horns on them. And that is still displayed there. It is hung in the temple. So you see what happens to people who steal property, who are selfish. So Stenaha is the thief. So he who enjoys the objects given by the God without gratitude, without offering anything in return to them, he is indeed a thief. So that's the gist of this slokam here. The next verse, let's go to verse number 13 now. Yagyashishtasinaha santo muchyante sarvakalvishaihi. Yagyashishtasinaha santo muchyante sarvakilvishaihi. Punchate te tvagam papa e pachantyatma karanat. Yajna sishta sinaha. Split it up. Yajna sishta sinaha. Yajna sishta asinaha. Yajna is sacrifice. Yajna sishta asinaha means those who eat the remnants of the sacrifice. Santaha, the righteous. Muchyante. Mukti also comes from the third word. Muchyante, freed from. Sarva kilbishaihi. Kilbishai is sins. Sarva means all. They are freed from all sins. Bunchate is eating, again coming from bhu. Te tva agam. Te tu agam. Agam means sin. Those indeed sin. E papaha, those sinners, atma karanat pachanti, cook for their own sake. The righteous who eat the remnants of the sacrifice, what is given to you by the gods after you give them the sacrifice, are freed from all sins. But those sinful ones who cook food only for their own sake, they are sinners. Now, Lord Krishna in the previous verses explained Karma Yoga as a prerequisite or a necessity for furthering into Jnana Yoga, and later suggested Yajna or worship. Now you find in this verse, there is a kind of a new dimension he is adding, which is side of inner purification, a spiritual advancement. like you add a detergent in a washing machine to clean your clothes. Sarva kilbishaihi muchyante. He becomes free from all the dirt, all the sins, papam. Yajna shishtam means yajna prasada. So here is actually criticizing those people who do not contribute anything to the betterment of the world. The selfish people whom he calls atma karanat pachanti, those people who cook for themselves. What is meant by it? I mean, cooking here does not mean only cooking in the kitchen. You know, there is a term in English, you say, you are cooking your own goose, or he cooked his own goose. We also sometimes say, when somebody is in big trouble, you say, your goose is cooked, isn't it? It doesn't mean physically he is cooked a goose, but he is in big trouble. That's what you say. I've heard this in corporate circles. Oh, he cooked his own goose. Cooking for self does not mean really cooking in the kitchen. Means here doing things selfishly. You are in big trouble. Not wanting to share with others. One of the, we mentioned about Pancha Mahayajna in your previous class. Pancha Mahayajna. One of the Mahayajna is Manishya Yajna, which means serving others, sharing at least food or little money with other less privileged people. Those who don't do that and cook only for themselves or be highly selfish are useless to the society. And hence, they are called here as sinners. They attract papam. So even a very, very small contribution goes a long way. You know, I remember long ago, Kanchi Mahaperiva, the Sankaracharya, 68, one of the noblest persons, he introduced a scheme. It's called Pidi Arichi, that, you know, a handful of rice, which most people can afford, just a handful of rice. You put it in a pot. And then you have thousands of families doing this. You get a large amount of rice, which is cooked and given to the poor. So $1 or 1 rupee goes a long way if there are many people. You don't have to really spend a lot of money on that. So the writers who eat the remnants are free from all sins, but those who are selfish and greedy and cook their own food only for their own sake, they are indeed sinners. That's the gist of this. Let's go to the next one. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyat annasambhavaha yajñat bhavati parjanyo yajñakarma samudbhavaha. Very beautiful verse here. It's actually an illustration of the wheel of life. Oh, we all desperately need rain. You can't just order it like pizza. I want it to be delivered by 7 o'clock. It doesn't happen that way. It's a gift from the heavens. Manusmriti says the offering given to the fire in the homam, in the yajna, reaches the sun. The sun causes rain to be produced. Then it causes evaporation from the ocean, the water. You know this typical cycle of how rain is produced. And from rain, you get food that reaches all creatures. Somebody can ask, how can you believe that whatever you put inside the homam reaches sun? I can't see it. There are so many things which are unseen, and yet the result is seen. Like you are seeing me, for example. I may physically appearing before you. It is transmitted through electronic waves. So you see me here, so you know that I exist. Otherwise, you will not know. Like you talk on cell phone. There are waves, unseen waves, X-rays. Do you not believe them? Because the results are seen. Likewise, it is said that the offerings that you give in the homam, indeed, they reach the sun, and instead, in return, the sun helps you with rain. There's also a beautiful interpretation of this verse by Swami Chinmayananda. He says, food is not only the one what you eat, but it also refers to the senses, the smell, the taste, the looks, the touch. So you have nice vegetable pulao, for example, made from basmati rice. It has a nice flavor. You can smell it. And it looks beautiful because there is garnishing all around it. And you take it inside, it tastes beautiful, heavenly. And it is displayed in such a beautiful way that it looks very, very good. With all these, if people do not have the right conducive mental condition, they cannot enjoy it because all the efforts are wasted. So the necessary precondition to enjoy the food through the sense organs is in the hearts of the people, which really stands for rain here. This is the interpretation given by Chinmayananda, that the rain represents really what is in your heart. And how can such a precondition be invoked? Through yajna, understood as a selfless, dedicated, cooperative endeavor. A spirit, an attitude. Paramacharya used to give one example of a person called Annadanam Sivan. You know, this Kumbh Mela, which happens in Kumbakonam once in 12 years, used to get lakhs of people. And feeding them was a big problem. They didn't have many restaurants at the time. And there was one person by name Annadanam Sivan, whose job was to feed all these people. In fact, I believe he sold all this property to be able to provide food to all. And he says he had a very innovative way of cooking rice. He will cook lots of rice and put it on a mat. On top of it, he'll put a cloth, a thin cloth, over which he'll put the wet rice. And the wet rice also used to get cooked in a quick time, arising from the heat from the bottom. So that way he was serving thousands of people. And days when they didn't have a refrigerator, he used to put curd and the buttermilk in barrels and let them float in the pond where the water was cool. So for one day it will stand easily, no problem. And this man, with all that, never partook of his own food. Such was the spirit of sacrifice. So Annadanam Sivan is a very great example of how selflessly one person worked. So food is essential for life and rains are essential to grow food. The yajnas help rainfalls, the rainwater, and the spirit of cooperative endeavor. So that's the gist of this particular slokam. Going further, let's go to, I did explain to you the words annat bhavanti. Annat is from food, bhavanti came from bhavanti. Bhutani, all beings. Parjanyat, anna sambhavaha. Parjanyat, parjanya is rain. Parjanyat, anna sambhavaha. From rain, food is produced. Yajnat bhavati parjanyaha. From sacrifices arises rain. Yajna karma samudbhavaha. Sacrifice is born out of karma. From food come forth beings, and from rain, food is produced. And from sacrifice arises rain, and sacrifice is born of action. So that is a very beautiful explanation of verse number 14 you have. Let's go to verse number 15 now. Karma brahmodbhavam viddhi brahmachara samudbhavam Tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishtitam. Karma brahmot bhavam. Brahma here means the creator. Karma is action. Brahmot bhavam. Brahma udbhavam. Action comes from Brahma. With, you have the name Vidya, which is knowledge. Vidhi, to know. With is a root here, to know. Brahma, Akshara. Kshara is perishable, Akshara is imperishable. Samudbhavam, prices. So what is meant by Brahma, Akshara, Samudbhavam? You know, everybody has a creative urge to do something. The manifestation of the creative urge, that is called Brahma, Akshara, Samudbhavam. Brahma means here Veda and Brahma himself. Akshara means Ishvara, imperishable, indestructible. Brahma, Akshara, Samudbhavam. So that creative urge, or the Vedas say, come out of that, Lord. Tasmat sarvagatam Brahma. Therefore, Tasmat is therefore, sarvagatam, all pervading Brahma, nityam yajne pratishtitam, ever established in sacrifice. So what does it mean? Know that action comes from Brahma, and Brahma proceeds from the imperishable. Therefore, the all-pervading Brahma, ever, nityam, rests in sacrifice. Yajne pratishtitam, ever established in sacrifice. So whenever yajna is going on, whatever type of yajna is going on, there is sharing and there is dhanam. All these are sacrifices. It follows the Vedic teaching. So the all-pervading Brahman is ever present in yajna. Nityam yajne pratishtitam. So when you do a little sacrifice for somebody else, even there it is said, the Brahma rests there. So in other words, it is divine. When you give a dhanam to someone or do a little sacrifice, there is a little element of the teaching of Vedas in that you are following the teaching. Going further, verse 16. Yevam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati yaha agayur indriya ramo bhogam partha sajivati. Yevam pravartitam chakram. What is chakram? You know, chakram is wheel. It is a great wheel of action set in motion by the Almighty, which is nature. It's a natural law. And there are many natural laws. The wheels that are set in motion by the Almighty, they don't change. They are impartial. They're kind of deaf and blind. They don't see who you are. A fire will burn anybody who touches, puts a finger into it. My granddaughter was about 4 years old, I think, and I was just ironing some cloth. I kept it. I told her, don't touch it, it's very hot. And if you tell somebody don't do it, he will do it. So she went and touched the iron and her finger got burnt. Does the heat condone that person because she's only 4 years old? Or because she happens to be my granddaughter? No. A fire, whoever it is, young or old, animal or human being, will burn. It's a natural law. So there are many, many such natural laws which are part of the chakram. Evam pravartitam chakram. Ya iha evam pravartitam chakram. Thus, set is the revolving wheel. The next word you have to split the sandhi. Na anuvartayati. It does not follow. Again, one more sandhi, long word. Agaha ayuhu indriya aramaha. Agayur indriya aramo is split. Aga ayuhu indriya aramaha. Agam means sin, I told you. Living in sin and rejoicing in the senses. Indriya means senses. Saha mogam jivati. He lives in vain, waste of life. Partha, O Arjuna. Now, Krishna here actually issues a warning to Arjuna. He says, O Arjuna, in this world, one who does not follow the cosmic cycle or the wheel, which is initiated by the Almighty, is a sinful and sensual person. He lives in vain. His life is a waste. No. Why is it so? You have understood nature, and many of it are also tamed. You use rainwater in the best way. You use waterfalls to generate electricity, and you have understood the nature of atom and used it to generate energy. So the mighty natural forces have been sort of used to advantage to help human beings by using the God-given intellect. So the more we understand nature, the more we respect our laws, the more we gain for our welfare. But if it is used or abused, then you know what happens. The atom has tremendous power, which was used, abused in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You know the results, what happened. So those who dare to oppose it, those who disrespect the natural given laws, Mother Nature doesn't forgive. It's merciless. That is why you have the global climate change, which is coming in, because if you keep on abusing nature, it has its own way of causing damage to the lives. Evam pravartitam chakram. In this manner, the manner of give and take, the universal chakram, the wheel of life is maintained. Aga ayuhu. Aga ayuhu. Agam means in ayuhu. Means this life is made up of papam. So here he says, O Arjuna, people have to learn to follow the wheel. Otherwise, the life is a waste. And I think very apt today in present situation where a lot of damage is being caused. So you can't tinker or play mischief with nature. The nature has its own way of teaching a lesson. Going further, verse number 17. Yasvatmirmariteva Shat atmatruptascha manavaha Atmanyeva cha santushta tasya karyam na vidyate. Now, in this verse, and also the next one, the benefit of Karma Yoga is explained by Lord Krishna. And how does it do it? If there is a man who loves the self alone, who is contented, who is happy with himself, there's nothing specially to be accomplished for him. So that's a state of inaction and action. The first word is a long word. Yaha tu atma ratihi eva. Yaspatmat mariti reva. Yaha, who? Tu, but. Atma ratihi. Rejoicing in the self only. Eva is only. Next word is also sandhi. Syat atma triptacha. Who is contented in the self. Manavaha. The man. You see the similarity between Sanskrit and English here. Manavaha, the man. Mana, man. Manusha. Atman yeva cha santushtastasya. Atmani yeva santushtaha cha tasya. Who is happy in the self alone. His, tasya, his, karyam na vidyate. There is nothing to do, no obligation. So that man, for that man who rejoices only in the self, who is satisfied in the self, who is content in the self, verily there is nothing to do. You see a little child sometimes plays only with himself or herself, their concentration is only in playing. They're very happy. They are not worried about anything else. There's nothing else for them to do. My grandson, when he comes back from school, he will immediately pull me out of the computer and I said, I'm working something. Please give me a minute. No. He says, your work is only to play with me. There's nothing else for you. So likewise, here, those people who rejoice only in themselves, who are satisfied in their own heart, for them, there is nothing special to do. So there is the benefit of Karma Yoga, but how to attain such a state? Grow old? See a child sometimes. So you have a mind of a child. He's in his own world. Cultivate that. Follow the Karma Yoga and go to the next stage of spiritual advancement. I mentioned before the first stage called Pravritti, and fulfill your aspirations to the fullest, but at the same time contribute to social living, contribute to cooperative endeavor, do volunteering, getting attracted, be an extrovert. There is no bar on that. But this is how we enter the next stage of Nivritti, or the withdrawal phase, when you start asking questions about yourself. Who am I? So those of you who are management, they know. There is a Maslow's theory of hierarchy, which I studied in St. Xavier's long ago in Mumbai at the time. Maslow's theory of hierarchy, which starts with basic needs, that man works for basic needs, food, clothing, shelter, etc., etc. Then gratification from others, recognition. And as the pyramid goes, at the top of the pyramid, the apex, is called self-realization. What we call as Atma Santushti. So it is also scientific. That is how people grow. Atma Santushti. 50 years ago in America, how many people knew about karma or yoga? Very few of them. But today, you hear these terms. In corporate circles also, you have Sanskrit terms introduced like karma, guru. All these are there. Yoga. These are all common now. 50 years ago, it wasn't even heard of it. There was no college teaching such things. It's not taught in college. It's something which you learn only from scriptures like Bhagavad Gita. So, this 17 verse teaches you that you get to that stage where you start rejoicing yourself. Going further, verse number 18. Naiva tasya krita nartho na krite nega kaschana na chascha sarva bhuteshu kaschid sarvyapasrayah kaschid artavyapasrayah na chascha sarva bhuteshu kaschid artavyapasrayah. Naivastasya, not even of him. Kritanartho, kritena na artaha, by actions done, no interest or meaning. Na akritena, kaschin artaha, by actions not done. Tacha sarva bhuteshu, and not does this person amongst all beings, kaschit artha vyapasrayaha, depend on any being for any object. For such a person who is self-contented, there is no interest in whatsoever in what is done and what is not done. Nor does it depend on any being for any object. Are there really some people like this? Well, there are. That is why Sanatana Dharma is surviving. I will give you some examples. Shirdi Sai Baba, Adi Shankara, Sadashiva Brahmendral, who was walking along, just walking, immersed in his own thoughts, self-contented. He sought nothing from anybody, and he was not depending on anything for any object. When his hand got cut off by a Muslim, unmindful of that, he walked on. This happened some 400, 500 years ago. And the person, he realized that he's such a great Mahan that he's not even mindful of his hand being cut off. So he went to him, prostrated before him and said, "Oh my God, what have I done? I've cut your hand. It is bleeding." Then he looks at him, smiles, and, "Oh, did you?" And the hand was lying below. The person gave the hand, he just put it and it got attached. Yogi Ram Surat Kumar, Ramana Maharishi, Kanchi Mahapariva. No, there are so many of these Mahans who had nothing to gain for themselves, but they were supremely contented. Tasya jnanina kritena arthahana. He does not expect any results nor any benefit for his own self, which is difficult. You know, some people after retirement, they have nothing to do, but they cannot keep quiet. I saw an ad some time back on a van which said, "We repair what your husband tried to fix." So retired people, they can't keep on tinkering something. I'll fix the microwave oven, I'll fix the washer. And in the process, they complicate things. You can't do work on a plumbing line if you don't have the skills, but yet they believe they have the skills. Open something and the tap bursts out. It did happen. Did happen, I've seen it. And then the plumber had to be called to stop the flooding. So I heard from some wives that they were better off when the husbands worked at some place, not after retirement. After retirement, they have more headaches. So it is very difficult to also not do anything. So for him who is contented, there is no interest in whatsoever in what is done or what is not done, nor does he depend on any being for any object. In Buddhism, they call it nirvana, the state of the highest. Going to verse 19. Tasmat asaktaha satatam karyam karma samachara asakto hyacharan karma paramapnoti purushaha. Tasmat, therefore, asaktaha. Asaktaha here means without any attachment. Satatam, always, karyam, that which should be done. Karma sama achara, perform the action. Asakto hyacharan karma. Asaktaha hi acharan karma, by performing action without attachment. Purushaha paramapnoti, man reaches the supreme. So here, Krishna's very clear advice to Arjuna: follow karma yoga. Keep doing things which you want. The very two distinct paths given. Keep doing things what you are now. Keep a little bit for your spiritual advancement. And gradually, step by step, you attain purification. And then you shift the gear into Jnana Yoga to discover self-sufficiency. And that is a Vedic life program. And you have to start from Karma Yoga right now. Karyam Karma Samachara. Therefore, take to Karma Yoga by following your duty. Karmam here means duty. What is expected of you? In this particular case, for him, he is expected to fight as a Kshatriya, and that is his duty. In a particular setup is Karyam. Do not run away from your assigned task and responsibility. Asaktaha, without anxiety, without really a serious worry or attachment about what you're going to get out of it. We'll go to the last slokam for today, which is verse number 20. Karmainavya samsiddhim astita janakadayaha lokasangraham yevapi sampashyan kartumarhasi. Now, Krishna is supporting his argument with examples. No, anything you say, if you give some illustration, it goes well with the audience. So here, Krishna is giving examples of who such people are, who were working at the same time. They were following Karma Yoga, and they were the people who were well known, who attained liberation by only working by duty. So even a grihastha, you don't have to take sannyasam to become enlightened. You can still follow spirituality as a grihastha, following your own work, and yet attain liberation. As long as you are in the society and you consider the well-being of society and the environment, you can still attain liberation. So he says here, karmaineva karmana eva, by action only, he verily. The next one is Sandhi word, samsiddhim astitaha, perfection attained. Janakadeyaha, King Janaka, the father of Sita. Janaka adayaha, Janaka and others, loka sangraham eva api, protection of the people only. Sampashyan kartumarhasi, with a view, you should perform action. Janaka and others attain perfection verily by action only. They didn't go to sannyasam. Even with a view to the protection of the masses, thou should perform action. So if you are doing some work which is going to benefit the people, like a doctor, for example, yes, we have a Dr. Lekha. So that is, you are helping people. That is your karma. And even with that, you are capable of attaining perfection, like Janaka and others. So because you happen to be in the society, you will have to do that loka sangraham eva api, protection of the people, for the sake of the well-being of the society. See, it is so beautiful in Gita is telling you to be involved so much in society. It's a lesson that we are learning from here. So with that, we will conclude today's session. Is the end of SanGita Session 16. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Let the entire world be happy. Such a beautiful saying, and that is probably the gist of this today's session we have. It's actually session 17 it should be. 16 is not changed. It should be 17. Yeah. So wish you all a great weekend until we meet again next Sunday, next Saturday. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Guruji.
I'll now open it up, unmute all. In case anybody has anything to say. Okay, any comments?
No, Guruji.